Welcome back to the deep dive. If you've been tracking the enterprise tech landscape, you know the atmosphere has just fundamentally changed over the last, 18 months.
It really has.
We are no longer talking about the potential of artificial intelligence. Based on the mountain of sources we've analyzed for this, the great AI debate is, well, strategically speaking, it's over. AI won.
That's a powerful way to frame it, but I think it's accurate. The first phase, that era of discovery.
What can it do for me phase?
Exactly. That, draft an email for me or automate one simple task phase. That was essentially the rehearsal. We have moved and moved decisively from promise to production.
Right.
So the core challenge for leadership has completely shifted. It's no longer about capability. It's entirely about execution, orchestration, trust, and delivering measurable outcomes.
Okay, let's unpack that shift because that's really what the step dive is all about. We're moving past AI as just a helpful tool and into AI as the operational spine of the organization. Our sources are calling this massive transition the creation of the autonomous enterprise.
Precisely. And we're talking about AI moving from merely assisting individual work steps to becoming a genuine collective workforce.
A workforce.
A workforce
Yeah.
capable of planning, acting, and executing really complex, multi-step processes with minimal human supervision. For leaders like you listening, success in this new reality is built on three core strategic pillars.
And what are those?
Achieving frictionless operations, establishing truly informed intelligence, and ensuring unshakable trust in whatever comes out.
That sounds like a monumental task, converting the entire enterprise into a self-driving system. So what's the immediate action plan for our listeners?
Well, our mission today is to give you the blueprint. We're going to explore the 5 key technological trends. We can call them the interconnected engines that synchronize, scale, and secure this whole enterprise transformation.
Okay.
These 5 trends are really the foundational tools you need to translate those 3 strategic pillars into a tangible competitive advantage starting, this quarter.
All right, let's jump right in then. First strategic pillar, frictionless operations. This is all about automating execution, getting to system-led, human-supervised operations, and just ruthlessly eliminating friction from your processes. And this takes us to the first big trend, agentic AI with adaptive process orchestration, or APO.
This is where the magic really starts to happen. We're not talking about the simple rules-based automation of the past, what used to call automation 2.0.
Right, the old stuff.
We are moving straight into automation 3.0. And that is the shift from human-led, system-assisted work to system-led, human-supervised operations.
So these aren't just bots doing repetitive, simple tasks anymore. If they're truly agents, that implies they have a degree of autonomy, some judgment. But isn't the real danger that the agent operates too far outside the bounds? How do we stop the system from making, unauthorized, expensive decisions?
That is the critical difference, and the orchestrator is the answer. These agentic AI agents are purpose-built. They plan the steps needed to hit a specific goal, they use only the organization's approved tools and systems, and they orchestrate the entire workflow.
Okay.
The crucial element of control is that they only loop in a human when a true exception arises, something they are explicitly not authorized to decide on.
I see. So the system is the engine, and the human becomes almost like an air traffic controller, providing judgment at these key decision points.
Exactly. They operate with 4 core capabilities in mind: plan, execute, adapt, and learn. And that adapt function is where the game truly changes for the autonomous enterprise.
Because previous automation, it was brittle. It would just hit a wall if it encountered a snag, like a credit check flag or a missing document.
Precisely. Unlike those old systems, this agentic AI won't just stop and flag an error. If it hits that flagged credit check, it intelligently routes that specific exception to the right specialist, say, a human underwriter, with the full context of the case.
And then what?
Once that underwriter clears the roadblock or gives a new instruction, the agent just resumes the automated process. That ensures continuity. It turns what used to be days of manual rework into a seamless high-speed handoff.
Let's see this in action. The sources had a great insurance claims processing use case. How does this change something really complex, like a multi-party auto claim?
Okay, so the usual approach for a complex claim, it involves a claims agent manually reviewing submissions, coordinating across maybe 5 different legacy systems.
Wow.
And it often requires 5 to 10 business days to complete because of all the manual handoffs and waiting. It's slow, it's expensive, and frankly, it's stressful for the customer.
And with APO?
With agentic AI and APO, the system ingests that claim, automatically classifies it, let's say, as a complex multi-party collision, and dynamically creates a custom workflow on the spot.
So it's not a rigid, pre-built path.
Not at all. It simultaneously executes steps across those 5 systems, things like booking vehicle inspections, validating policy details. The entire process collapses from business days down to a mere 2 to 4 hours.
That's a huge difference.
We are talking about achieving straight-through processing for your most complex workflows, not just the easy ones.
And for the listener who might be a chief risk officer or an auditor, there is a huge critical benefit here beyond just the speed. Every single action taken, every decision made, every piece of information validated, it is all logged within that central orchestrator.
And that is the cornerstone of building trust into execution. That central orchestrator gives you an immutable, step-by-step audit trail. So when the auditors show up, you don't spend weeks gathering documents.
You just give them access.
You have instant verifiable access to everything. This simplifies compliance dramatically, and critically, it simplifies operational troubleshooting when something does go wrong. That level of accountability is essential if you ever want to scale AI beyond a pilot.
That brings us beautifully to our second strategic gear: operationalize intelligence and democratize expertise. So if the first gear gave us speed, this second one has to address the fundamental risk that comes with speed. And that's inaccurate AI. Those infamous hallucinations, which, they pose a massive material business risk.
This is the problem that's driving the architectural leap in our second trend, which is verified intelligence. Enterprise RAG 2.0.
RAG 2.0.
Yeah, this goes far beyond basic retrieval augmented generation. We are moving past systems that merely retrieve text snippets to systems that build a dynamic, reasoned understanding of the organization's entire knowledge base.
So it's not just finding the answer, it's being able to prove the answer. Is that it?
Exactly. If RAG 1.0 was like finding a single piece of evidence in a massive library, RAG 2.0 is like cross-examining 3 witnesses, checking the publication date on the archives, and then synthesizing a final defensible conclusion.
Okay, so what's the mechanism that makes RAG 2.0 so much smarter? What's under the hood?
The key is integrating knowledge graphs with hybrid retrieval. The system combines standard vector and keyword searching with the power of that knowledge graph.
And the knowledge graph, that's what maps all the relationships.
Precisely. It connects, say, a client's name to all their contracts, to the specific compliance rules in their region, and to their historical project performance. The system doesn't just find documents. It constructs reasoned, evidence-based conclusions based on those interconnections.
The data we looked at really hammers home the strategic value of this. There was benchmark work cited in our sources on these graph-enhanced QA systems.
Yeah, it was a big one.
And it reported that accuracy jumped from a pretty shaky 16% to an impressive 54% just by adding a knowledge graph. That's the difference between a core concept and a reliable business tool.
And this feeds directly into that trust pillar. We know from user studies that people inherently trust AI answers more when every single piece of information comes with a clickable citation.
So they can check the work.
They can verify the underlying sources. This architecture really closes the trust gap and makes the output audit-ready and defensible.
Let's apply this to a high-stakes scenario: banking credit analysis. Traditionally, an analyst gets a commercial loan application and they spend 3 to 5 days manually reviewing 300-plus pages of documents.
At least. And they're cross-referencing public data, preparing a long risk memo. That time lag can literally lose the business.
So how does RAG 2.0 change that?
With Enterprise R 2.0, that whole review process is completed in about 2 hours. But here's the added strategic value. The system can synthesize opposing data points. It might flag a declining debt service coverage ratio as a major risk, a standard red flag.
Okay.
But at the same time, it can use the knowledge graph to identify a strengthening market share in the client's industry, which is a big strength.
So it gives the human analyst a much more complete, nuanced picture. It stops them from making costly errors based on incomplete or siloed data. It's operationalized intelligence that provides context and, critical judgment support.
That's it.
Now for the third gear. Build trust into the system. If we're increasing the speed with APO and the reliability with RG 2.0, we absolutely have to govern the whole process.
It's non-negotiable.
The early phase of AI treated governance as, a necessary evil, or worse, an afterthought. And that just inevitably led to massive, unmanageable risk. The new mandate is clear. If it can't pass an audit, it will not reach production, period.
This is why we are focusing on Trend 3, AI security and governance, and specifically what's called trust by design. This is not an extra step you bolt on at the end to satisfy a regulator.
That's not a checkbox.
No, it's about embedding safety, ethics, and compliance directly into the AI lifecycle from the very moment you start architecting the solution.
Okay, but why are we insisting this accelerates innovation? Intuitively, adding more compliance steps, that sounds like it would slow deployment down.
It accelerates it because it turns compliance from a cost center into a rapid deployment enabler. By providing clear, standardized guardrails upfront, you remove all that ambiguity and guesswork.
I see.
Teams can deploy new features faster and with confidence because they know the system is already audit-ready. And more importantly, this proactive approach future-proofs the organization against global regulations, like the mandates coming from the EU AI Act.
And the frameworks for this are mature now. Our sources highlight the significance of the NIST AI 600-1 final profile and the ISO 42001 standard. These aren't just suggestions anymore. They are the provable controls that auditors are referencing worldwide.
Absolutely. The standards have solidified, so now tech leaders can build toward a fixed target.
Let's use the government services transformation use case to see the contrast. In the traditional reactive approach, an AI system processing benefit applications was deployed, and 6 months later, an audit revealed significant algorithmic bias.
A nightmare scenario.
It forced a system shutdown and an extremely costly, very public remediation effort.
Right. Now contrast that with the built-in governance approach. Before the system even processes a single application, the governance orchestrator enforces pre-deployment assurance. It validates fairness metrics across all the required demographic groups and establishes that complete, immutable audit trail we talked about.
And then, importantly, there's continuous monitoring while it's in live operation.
Exactly. The system has automated bias detection built right in. For example, it could be programmed to flag an alert if approval rates diverge by more than, say, 2% across different regions or age groups.
So the system isn't just compliant on day one, it stays compliant.
It remains compliant and audit-ready in real time. And that turns compliance from a burden into a definitive competitive advantage.
We have two more trends to cover, and these are crucial enablers for, well, rapid innovation and critical data privacy. Let's talk about trend 4, vibe building, built over vibe coding. This is innovation at the speed of human thought.
This represents one of the biggest philosophical changes in enterprise software creation that we have seen in a generation. We are moving past the traditional low-code and no-code tools and into true natural language-driven development.
Okay, explain the vibe building metaphor for us. What does it actually mean to build a vibe?
It means we're abstracting the complexity of software creation even further. If low-code was dragging and dropping pre-made blocks, vibe building is defining the desired outcome, the functionality, the look, the feel, the integration points in natural language.
Just by describing it.
Just by describing it. And the system synthesizes the code, the interfaces, and the logic instantly. The primary skill required is no longer coding syntax, but clearly and effectively describing the desired user outcome.
Which means the economic development director, the business analyst, or the product manager becomes a true co-creator, not just a frustrated requester filing a ticket with IP.
It democratizes software creation across the whole enterprise. It lowers the barrier to entry, and crucially, it collapses the validation cycle. A product manager can translate a natural language description into a working prototype that same afternoon.
So what used to take weeks of technical review is now hours of business testing.
That's it. This is why Gartner predicts that by 2028, 40% of new enterprise production software will be created using these vibe coding techniques.
That speed is transformative, but doesn't going from months of development to days of deployment introduce a massive new risk? That the human controls and testing haven't kept pace.
That is precisely why this trend must be married to the governance trend we just discussed.
It all links together.
The governance framework ensures that even if the code is generated by AI at lightning speed, the system still automatically applies all the required testing, security scans, and audit logging before it ever goes into production. The speed is regulated by the trust framework.
Let's use the small business grant management use case to illustrate that speed.
Okay, so imagine an economic development director facing a natural disaster. They simply describe the need. We need an emergency grant system for small businesses affected by the flood. It needs a portal, eligibility checking against 3 criteria, and secure document upload.
And the system just builds it.
The vibe building tool instantly creates the secure portal, the eligibility logic, the document management system. When the director says, integrate the state's business license verification API, the AI immediately updates the system. The result is that a critical functional system can be operational in days, not months.
And serving hundreds of businesses within weeks of a disaster. That's closing the gap between having an idea and delivering an institutional-grade solution.
A huge gap.
Finally, let's wrap up with Trend 5. Federated Machine Learning, FL, which is the necessary architecture for collective intelligence in a privacy-first world.
The core principle here is simple but transformative, and it's absolutely critical for unshakable trust. Bring the model to the data, don't bring the data to the model.
Okay, give us a simple analogy for the listener. If all my private, sensitive data stays locked inside my server, how does the global model actually get smarter?
Think of it like a global study group. Every student or every organization studies their own private notes, their sensitive data inside their own secure library. They never share the raw notes.
Okay.
Instead, they only share their learned patterns, their refined summaries, or mathematically the adjusted model weights with a central coordinator. That coordinator aggregates all those summaries to create a globally smarter textbook that benefits everyone.
But no one ever saw the raw notes from the other students.
Exactly.
That radically improves security. I mean, there's no big centralized database, no tempting honeypot for hackers to attack, and it immediately ensures adherence to data residency rules like GDPR because the raw data stays local.
It is the only way to facilitate collective intelligence while maintaining absolute data sovereignty.
The perfect application here is the cross-bank fraud detection network. Traditionally, banks couldn't pool transaction data to fight new fraud methods because of intense privacy laws.
Which meant every bank was fighting the same global threats with only their own limited internal data.
Right.
With federated learning, they can collaborate securely. Bank A detects a new fraud pattern targeting elderly customers. Bank B identifies a suspicious cross-border transaction sequence. They run the model against their private data, and only the learned patterns are aggregated.
So all the participating banks benefit from each other's discoveries.
Right. The shared model improves magically across the whole network without a single raw customer transaction record ever being shared.
That provides superior collective defense against increasingly sophisticated global threats, all while ensuring absolute customer privacy. That's a powerful combination of trust and capability.
It is.
Okay, so let's recap the big takeaway for you, the listener. The autonomous enterprise isn't coming. It is defined by the systems you build today. It's defined by systems that finish work using agentic AI and APO, systems that can prove their sources using verified intelligence with Enterprise AGI 2.0.
And systems that pass scrutiny every single time thanks to built-in governance, the speed of vibe building, and the architectural security of federated learning.
These 5 trends, these interconnected engines, are designed to translate your strategic priorities into a tangible competitive advantage.
Exactly. It's about driving your enterprise towards self-improvement and resilience, being grounded, orchestrated, and rigorously governed. This is the difference between surviving the next AI wave and actually leading it.
So what does this all mean? If intelligence is now verified and cited and work is completed and not just assisted, the biggest strategic challenge facing leaders isn't just adopting AI, it's effectively governing the speed of natural language innovation. The future belongs to those who build it, but only if they build it to pass the audit. Now, thinking about the core friction points in your own organization, what specific complex function would you orchestrate first?